quote, she crushed him. Hillary Clinton, no stranger to the debate stage with Trump, posting this photo of the VP. It's this moment where the VP has her hand under her chin, smiling with satisfaction as Trump took her bait. Tom Foreman is out front with the many expressions of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump at last night's historic debate.
The body language battle started fast, with the vice president striding deep into the former president's half of the stage and all but forcing him to shake her hand, then immediately putting him on defense.
My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax.
First of all, I have no sales tax.
Trump spent most of the night staring grimly ahead, rarely glancing her way no matter what she said.
You're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact.
While Harris watched him, smiled, put her chin in her hand,
It's weaponization.
and seemed more at ease with each moment, at least to former FBI senior profiler Joe Navarro.
She looked at him with laser-like focus and did not hesitate at all.
It was a far cry from Trump's triumphant stance when facing his fans, and a telling exchange came when Harris attacked those very events.
People start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
Trump's lips pursed, his eyes widened.
He was alarmed by it. Anytime we're surprised or alarmed, we tend to open our eyes to let more light in. I think this is one he never anticipated.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
At one point, Trump lifted part of Harris's act from a 2020 vice presidential debate with Mike Pence.
In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute, I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
And Harris drew a few cautions from debate watchers over the risk of appearing too smug or reveling too much in Trump's legal problems.
In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat.
One noted pollster posted, "She needs to train her face not to respond. It feeds into a female stereotype and, more importantly, risks offending undecided voters." But as you might expect, that critique was quickly critiqued online by others who said, look, that's frankly sexist. You'd never say that about a male candidate. The bottom line is a lot of people think in the real debate and in the body language debate, Harris simply ruled the night in every way. Aaron?
All right. Yeah, as we said, the question is, what does that mean, big picture, when it comes to the voting booth? All right.
out.
Thanks so much, Tom.
So, David, I mean, obviously, the debate was a crucial moment. How do you think have the dynamics of the race shifted?
You know what? We don't. I think they've shifted in some ways because anytime in an event when 67 million people are watching, one candidate so clearly dominates the event, especially against someone who is expected to be the dominant figure on the stage, it has some kind of impact. In terms of voting, we don't know. There's not a lot of elasticity in the electorate. And I think both campaigns are waiting to see how these polls shake out in a few days when this thing really washes through, to see if it's influenced actual votes.
Ben, I mean, there was polling about how, prior to the debate, about the large percentage of people who still wanted to know more information about Kamala Harris. I mean, the debate, certainly there was a lot of information there, whether it's what she said or just how she appeared. Do you think it moved the needle?
I don't know. They got the information that she whooped his butt. I mean, just like I'm still just giddy because you're sitting there chewing your fingernails down to the elbow. Is she gonna go out there and is Donald Trump gonna do to her what he's done to so many other people? This guy has eaten presidential hopefuls like Tic Tacs. He's been the Pac-Man of politics, destroying people. Kamala Harris went out there, whooped his butt, and made it look easy. And so in that regard, that is information. Can she deal with a Putin? Yes. Can she deal with a tough situation, with pressure, with crisis? Yes. Now, she has to now close the deal. People who before were Kamala curious are like, okay, she handled Donald Trump, but they still have unanswered questions. Listen, if you're Kamala Harris right now and you're listening, talk to reporters now. Talk to everybody. If you can handle Donald Trump, a raging bull, if you can be the matador against this crazy person, you can talk to a reporter. Get out here, let people ask you the tough questions. You can do it, and I think you can start closing the deal with the people who are Kamala curious, but who still don't know what she's going to do for them.
Aaron, the former president is suggesting he won't do another debate. Do you think that's a smart idea?
I think time will tell. I think one, polling coming out of this debate, we'll see kind of where things, if things did move at all between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump last night. And the reason I would say at this point I don't think he will is because he has set the marker now where, well, if you lose the debate, you ask for another. So I'm not going to ask for another because I'm not the loser of this debate. That's very much the marker he's put down for himself right now. So he doesn't want to do Fox. He doesn't want to ask for another debate. Will it happen? Should it happen? I don't know if it will happen. Should it happen? At this point for Donald Trump, I don't think it should. Now he's dealing with another news cycle. Instead of talking about the failures of the Biden-Harris administration and how groceries are more expensive, it's harder to buy a home, it's harder to get ahead in this country than it was 4 years ago. Instead of talking about that, he's getting distracted by Kamala being able to pull him off his mark in that debate. I think at this point it would be better to be doing the rallies, try to stay focused and hit home your message and get your get out the vote effort moving now. I've heard from people in swing states, they're seeing stuff from the Trump team and not the Harris team. Those points of contact are going to make a big difference come November.
David, I mean, do you think if you were in the Trump camp, would you suggest he debate again?
You know, I'd be very.
Should she debate again?
Well, I think she's pretty confident. I actually think they do want to debate again because it would be maybe a second shot of momentum if she could repeat what she did last night. But if I'm on the Trump side, you know, Aaron recited the message that her rational strategist would like him to be on every single day. He does not stick to the message, and you saw how easily distracted he was last night. You talk about rallies. The rallies, you know, he can have his message on a prompter, and he might read the message on the prompter. It's the other hour when he's improvising that becomes the problem. And this has been the problem throughout for him. He is not a disciplined candidate, and he seems less disciplined and a little more frantic than he's been in the past.
Then Taylor Swift not only endorsed, but then also posted information about, you know, where you can go to register, about early. She was encouraging early voting, which is obviously something that Donald Trump has spoken against over the years. Do you think that will have an impact?
I think that it may well. First, you know, thank you, J.D. Vance, for being the gift that keeps on giving. She signed the thing, you know, childless cat lady, because he just can't quit offending people. And I think that there are people who don't watch CNN every day. I know it's hard for us to imagine that. There are people who are not engaged in politics.
In the same way that the former president is reaching out through, you know, podcasts and stuff to MMA fighters.
Sure,
and MMA
exactly. Like there are worlds adjacent to politics where there are stars and celebrities. There's the manosphere, all the bro stuff online that Trump is trying to do. But Taylor Swift is a superpower on her own. She has as many Instagram and social media followers as some countries have citizens. And so when she moves, it moves the needle. Will it translate into votes for young people? I don't know. But it puts more attention on the fact that there is a choice out there named Kamala Harris.
One of the tells on this is last year when she encouraged people to register to vote, there were these rumbles in Trump world, and they ran a kind of mini negative campaign against her. The thought being to discourage her from actually getting into the race. Today, you know, Megyn Kelly and others were out there menacing her and saying, you know, Republicans aren't going to come to your concerts anymore and so on. So there's obvious concern on their part. And, you know, just in terms of getting people to register and getting people who aren't engaged now engaged, someone with 283 million followers who's a cultural figure who appeals to people across generations and a lot of young people, that'd be a concern.
Aaron, what do you think? Because obviously, you know, the J.D. Vance has kind of poo-pooed it, saying she's a billionaire. You know, even if you like her music, she's, you know, disconnected from where most Americans are. Clearly, they would have loved to have had a Taylor Swift endorsement, and obviously would be saying something very different if they had got an endorsement.
Right. I think the ability for this to be a monumental, not only endorsement, but opportunity for celebrities to step in and try to move the needle, I think it exists here. It kind of brings me back to the 1990s when Rock the Vote started. It changed the way that younger people believed they could be involved in the American voting system, because back in the 90s, most young people thought, hey, that's what older people do. They vote. That's not my thing. Rock the Vote and celebrities really changed that approach. Now, is this only this endorsement right here where she she puts out the image, puts out her statement, and encourages people to get more information, that likely won't make a huge difference. But because of her platform and the opportunity that exists here with her, if she is willing to do more, whatever that may be, if that is a concert where your entry fee is a voter registration, ticket that you've done that could help move the needle if they're doing it. And to be clear, though, the margins are kind of small, even with Taylor Swift being a monumental star, because Kamala's already doing really well with a lot of the demographics that are Taylor fans, women, younger voters, things like that. So there are margins that exist there for them, but it's how involved is she willing to get?